All right, we are going to continue our journey in chapter 32. The Morgan and Betsette burst through the tangled hedges, carrying John Dee between them. And the next instant, the wall of foliage vanished, and one of the many winding paths leading to Mount Tamalpais appeared. They stumbled, and Dee fell, sprawling in the dust. "What now?" Betsette growled. "Have we lost? Have they won? We've destroyed Hecate, but she has awakened the girl." John Dee staggered to his feet and brushed off his ruined coat. There were scrapes and tears in the sleeves, and something had ripped a fist-sized hole through the lining. Carefully wiping Excalibur clean, he slid it back into its concealed sheath. "It's not the girl we need to concentrate on now. It's the boy. The boy is the key." The Morgan shook her head, feathers rustling. "You talk in riddles." She glanced up in the clear morning skies, and almost directly overhead, a wisp of gray cloud appeared. He had seen his sister's tremendous magical powers awakened. Where to? Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I got really lost. Anyways, she glanced up in the clear morning skies, and almost directly overhead, a wisp of gray cloud appeared. He had seen his sister's tremendous magical powers awaken. How do you think the boy is feeling now? Frightened, angry, jealous, alone? He looked from the Morgan to the cat goddess. The boy is at least as powerful as the girl. Is there anyone else on this continent to whom Flamel could take the boy to have his talents awakened? Black Annis in the Catskills, the Morgan suggested, the note of caution clearly audible in her voice. Too unpredictable, Dee said. She'll probably eat him. I heard that Persephone was in northern Canada, Betsette said. Dee shook his head. Her years in the underworld shadow realm have driven her insane. She is dangerous beyond belief. The Morgan drew her cloak tighter around her shoulders. The cloud above her head thickened and drifted lower. Then there is no one on North America. I came across Noctula in Austria. I know that Erytho still hides out on Thessaly. You're wrong, Dee interrupted. There is one other one who could awaken the boy. Who? Betsette growled, frowning, her snout wrinkling. Dr. John Dee turned to the crow goddess. You could. The Morgan stepped away from Dee, black eyes wide with surprise, pointed teeth pressing against the bruise-colored flesh of her thin lips. A ripple ran through her black cloak, ruffling all her feathers. You are mistaken, Betsette hissed. My niece is next generation. She hasn't got the powers. Dee turned to face the crow goddess. If he knew he was playing a dangerous, possibly even deadly game, he showed no sign of it. At one time, perhaps, that would have been true, but the Morgan's powers are much more than they were. Niece, what is he talking about? Betsette demanded. Be very, very careful, Himani, the crow goddess crackled. My loyalty is not in question here, Dee said quickly. I have served the elders for half a millennium. I am merely looking for a way to achieve our aim. He stepped up to the Morgan. Once, like Hecate, you wore 3 faces. You were the Morgan, the Matcha, and the Babd. Unlike Hecate, though, you and your 2 sisters occupied 3 bodies. It was your unconsciouses that were linked. Individually, you were powerful, but together, you were invincible. He paused and seemed to be taking a moment to gather his thoughts, but in actuality, he was ensuring he had a firm grip on Excalibur beneath his coat. When did you decide to kill your sisters? He asked casually. With a terrible screech, the Morgan leapt for Dee and stopped. In a flash, Excalibur's black stone blade had appeared at her throat, blue light fizzing and sparkling down the blade. The serpent hilt came to life and hissed at her. Please, Dee smiled, a chilling twist of his lips. I've been responsible for the death of 1 elder today. I've no wish to add a second to my total. As he spoke, he watched Betsette, who was moving around behind him. The Morgan has the power to awaken the boy, he said quickly. She possesses the knowledge and powers of her 2 sisters. If we can awaken the boy and turn him to our side, we have gained ourselves an extraordinarily powerful ally. Remember the prophecy, the 2 that are one, the one that is all. One to save the world, one to destroy it. And which one is the boy? Betsette asked. Whatever we make him, Dee said, eyes darting from the Morgan to Betsette and back to the crow goddess. Abruptly, Betsette was behind him, her huge claws around his throat. She lifted him slightly, forcing him to raise on his toes, and looked into her chilling eyes. For a single heartbeat, he had thought about swinging the sword around, but he knew that the cat goddess was faster, so much faster than he could ever be. She'd seen the twitch of his shoulders and simply snapped his head clean off. Betsette glared at her niece. Is it true? Are Maka and the Bobbed dead? Yes, the Morgan glared at Dee. I did not kill them. They died willingly and live inside me still. For a moment, her eyes blazed yellow, then red, then solid black, the colors of the three ancient goddesses. Dee was tempted to ask her how they gotten inside her, then decided that he really didn't want to know the answer, and now probably wasn't a good time to ask anyway. Could you awaken the boy? Betsette demanded. Yes. Then do it, niece, the cat goddess ordered. She turned her attention back to Dee, pressing her thumb under his chin. She pushed his head back, and if you ever raise a weapon to one of the elder race again, I will see that you spend the next millennia in a shadow realm of my own special creation. And trust me, you will not like it. She released her grip and flung away, sending him sprawling in the dirt. He was still clutching the sword. Tell me, Betsette commanded, towering over him. Where are Flamel and the twins now? Where have they gone? He climbed shakily to his feet. He brushed dirt off his coat and discovered yet again another tear in the soft leather. He was never buying leather again. He will need to start training the girl. Hecate awakened her, but didn't get a chance to teach her any protective spells. She'll need to be taught to protect herself and control her powers before the stimuli from the physical world will drive her mad. So where will they go? Betsette growled. She wrapped her arms around her body and shivered. The cloud the Morrigan had summoned had grown thick and dark as it drifted lower, now hovering just over the treetops. There was moisture in the air and the hint of unidentifiable spices. He'll not stay in San Francisco, Dee continued. He knows we have too many agents in and around the city. The Morrigan closed her eyes and turned slowly. Then she raised her arm. They're heading south. I can just about make out the silver traces of her aura. It's incredibly powerful. Who's the most powerful elder south of here? Dee asked quickly. Someone proficient in elemental magic. Endor, Betsette answered immediately. Enwahi, the deadly witch of Endor. Mistress of the air, the Morrigan added. Betsette leaned down, her breath foul in the small man's face. You know where you have to go. You know what you have to do. We must have the pages of the Codex. And the twins? He asked tightly, trying not to breathe. Capture them if you can. If not, then kill them to prevent Flamel from using their powers. Then both she and the crow goddess stepped into the thickening cloud and were gone. The damp grayness swirled away, leaving Dr. John Dee alone on the isolated path. How do I get there? He called. But there was no response. Dee shoved his hands in the pockets of his ruined leather coat and set off down the narrow path. He hated it when they did that, dismissed him as if he were nothing more than a child. But things would change. The elders liked to think that Dee was their puppet, their tool. He had seen how Betsette had abandoned Senuet, who had been there for her for at least a century, without a second glance. He knew they would do exactly the same to him, given the chance. But Dr. John Dee had plans to ensure that they would never get that chance.